Welcome back. All right, so this first story I want to cover, as you can see on the screen, is a successful businessman complains about no sex after a girlfriend dumps him for cheating. So, this gentleman, I'm going to be reading the text. It's quite a little messy on the internet, so I'm not going to mention his name. He's a small guy too in terms of clout. So, it's not worth it to mention the name. But I saw this text public, so I figure we should just extract some lessons out of it, if you will. There's going to be some lessons, especially for men in this segment who might be going through this kind of situation. This situation is very rampant. Some people call it women weaponizing sex against men. Some people say he just has no game. I think for the most part, it's a man who doesn't have any game. Because basically, when men get into marriage, they think there's no need for game anymore. They just kind of have these expectations that, hey, you signed up for a marriage, you should just be inside of a marriage. You used to throw the kwekus at me, you should just want to continue to throw the kwekus at me. And unfortunately, that's not the reality. In life, change is inevitable, change is constant, and sometimes that change is in the form of people's libido, in the form of people's interest, in the form of people's attraction level towards even their spouse that they once upon a time was in love with. They were heads over here once upon a time. It has nothing to do with oh, did you not answer the question? No, it has. It's just inevitable. It's going to happen at some point. Why? Because life is always evolving. Life is changing right in front of our face. People's body will change. Life events happen. We affect their how sexy they feel. But in this case, it's a little bit too early for us to be they were just dating. Okay, well, they were boyfriend and girlfriends, sort of kind of like a permanent boyfriend and girlfriend. So I'm going to read the chat to you, and then if you want to borrow me some wisdom, feel free to put it in the chat. But at the end, I'm going to. Some of them might be repetitive in nature. I'll read some comments, and then maybe we can learn one or two things from it. So he posted on his Instagram page. I'm not going to put the screenshot here. He posted. He said, "Imagine communicating with your partner about lack of sexual contact and nothing gets done." Ladies, this is very, very common. Okay. I'm saying a man complaining about this or a man feeling this way of oftentimes they don't even talk about it, but the resentment is looming, is grooming. Yeah, so and then he posted screenshots. I'm not gonna post it again because his face shows on here. So it's one of the screenshots says, "Hurry back, we have had sex like little to none." Okay. This was, I think the young lady was texting this back in March 2024. And then, but by the time they got to December 2024, this is all last year, the gentleman was now sending text message. This is all by text. Gentlemen, don't send text message to complain about lack of sex. If you do that, it tends to get worse. I know you want me to hold her accountable right now, but my objective is to make sure you get sex. Not to hold a person accountable. Two different objectives, okay? If your objective is to hold accountable, all you have to do is send the text and problem solved. But if you want to, if you're in love, or okay, maybe you love your girl, but you really just want to have your intimate sessions with her and her only, then if that's the objective, then follow along. Okay, so by December, he sent a text and said, "And the fact we weren't having sex, and I said it was an issue. Why didn't you do anything?" Okay. Now, again, at this time, I think they've broken up, and I'm not sure exactly what the timeline is, but I think they've broken up, and but he cheated. So I guess he's giving the excuse. Shout out to Uncle Beno. I see you, sir. I guess is cheated, and he's giving the excuse to why he cheated. So this is him complaining by text message to his girlfriend. They're still trying to work something out, right? So he goes, we wasn't having sex like that. When I say we wasn't having sex like that, you can basically imagine who these people are, right? Anyway, he said, could get you back to couldn't get you back to normal at home. I knew you were stressed and that you weren't probably feeling sexy. Okay, this is him sending. He's trying to be understanding in the text message, but it still wasn't working. Why? Because it's not what you say. It's not what you say. At the end of the day, it's the impact that your speech, your text messages leave on that person. I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm just saying you might want to learn one or two things about why this happens. So she replies. She replies after, again, from what I'm looking at, it looks like after 3 different text messages. So by 12/6/2024, that's 6th of December 2024, he sent that first text. And the fact that we weren't having sex and I said it was an issue, why didn't you do anything about it? It looks like there was no reply. It looks like by the 7th of December, he now sent, we wasn't having sex like that. I tried to get you back to normal. I knew you were stressed and you weren't probably feeling sexy. All right. So is it his fault? No, it's not. Listen, Konji is a bastard. So it's not about blaming him. It's just about, if you're going through this kind of stuff, maybe you can learn one or two things, or maybe get some insights to why it wasn't working out. So she finally replied. And what she replied was, sex, money, marketing. You only talk, and then she sent another text. You only talk about sex and money. This is 2 texts that she sent. He sent 3 texts, okay? I want you to keep track of that, okay? It's very, very important. And then he continues. He said, and cried. We argued about it. We had long distance relationship, which was hard. Then we get together and our sex life didn't increase. After that, there was no reply. And then he sent another one, a longer text. He said, you can't tell me last time you dressed up for me, baby. Sent me a sexy video. I bust my ass for you. I shout you to the world. And I feel like you felt entitled and didn't give same back. All right. Again, what was the objective? From his intentions, he's just trying to get his girl, right, to wake up and give him the kpekus. Basically, he's asking for the kpekus. Anyway, let's continue. He said, and then another text. Okay, this will be the 3rd text in a row after that first 2 texts that she sent. Remember, the first 2 texts that she sent was sex, money, marketing. You only talk about sex and money. Okay, so she's complaining too, right? She obviously doesn't know what she's doing too, but hey, women are generally expected to not be sure of themselves. Somebody's going to be, what do you mean? Take that to the bank. Women are generally expected to not be sure of themselves. A man, oftentimes, these modern men are not sure of themselves too, but it just gets bad. As a man, a manly thing to do is to be sure of yourself, even if you have to fake it a little bit until you get results, and then it becomes second nature. Okay, let's keep going. And then she finally responds with a text. She said, I never went weeks without sex. Okay, now is her words against his. Okay, no, before she sent that, he sent another 3rd text before she sent this one text. So it's like 3-to-1 ratio, 3-to-1 ratio. What does that tell you? The person that's sending the most text is the neediest person. Does that make sense? The person that's sending the most text is obviously the person that's being needy. If we just go by that, okay? Then if you go by the length of each one of the texts that he's sending, and if you go by the fact that he's the one complaining and asking for the kpekus, it just gets even worse and worse and worse, right? Is she going to feel sexier? Probably not, right? Is he still horny? Oh yes, if it's getting worse and worse and worse. And he's getting resentful too. Let me keep going. And then he goes, don't know what caused the sexual awkwardness between you and I. Something was clearly off, like we both love each other, but we saying that you weren't enough, like literally mentions her name. I'm not going to mention the name. We weren't having sex. Why are you doing this shit? I literally have text messages where I'm talking about us not being intimate. Oh, he has the receipt, a VDM style receipt, where he was already complaining, basically proving to her that yes, I was a complainer, that I wasn't having sex, right? So now, again, this is not fair, right? Because after all, they're together, so they're supposed to be having sex. But at this point, it's basically doing shalaye to why he cheated. Oh, more this life is not fair. Man, they suffer. Marshall, man, they suffer. Okay. Let's keep going. Let me see here. Hi, Adebimpe, good to see you, Adebimpe. And Mario, I see you guys. Good to see you guys. All right, so let's keep going. So it's basically saying he has receipts to when he was complaining, and she did nothing about it. Anyway, he said, why are you doing this shit? I literally have text messages where I'm talking about us not being intimate. And then now this is by this time we're in January 3rd, 2025. Remember, they have been having this talk since what? I think the last one was December 2024, 7th. This is like a whole month, almost a whole month later. Okay. Still complaining. We're still talking about giving excuses to why he cheated, not having sex. Anyway. And he sent another text. This is going to be third text in a row that he's sending. The girl has only sent 3 text messages thus far. It's been 1 month. There are 1, 2, 3. I'm just going by the screenshots he released. He released this because now, at this point, he's being vindictive. So he released these text messages to the public. Okay? So he's being vindictive. He said he's just going to throw it all out there. I mean, what are you thinking? It's probably, there's a consistency in patterns here, right? Anyway, so 1, 2, 3, 4 text message from him. 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so he sent 8 text messages. She sent one-liner, 3 different text messages. So clearly one person is needy here, right? Okay, but maybe he's just apologizing. He's just trying to. But when you're apologizing and you're apologizing for cheating, but you're also telling them why you cheated, that's probably not going to work out well, right? Let's just imagine a normal human being. Let's put our expectations in check for a second. It's probably not going to work out. Another text message says, our only issue is sex. Like, let's be serious. You don't have hundreds of problems. You have one, our sexual awkwardness. Remember when people will say, well, I never beat you. I don't beat you. What else do you want from me? Like, if you have a husband that never beat you, why would you ever complain about the relationship? All right. So another text message from him comes, I ain't going. But my Ebonics, Jesus Christ. I don't have Ebonics, so let me struggle a little bit. Allow me. I ain't go out because I'm not going out because you were perfect. Okay, I didn't go out. I didn't go out of our relationship because you were perfect. I went out because I wasn't being sexually satisfied. Last year we had sex less than 20 times all year. Okay, remember they're not really married. Okay, they're just boyfriend and girlfriends. Maybe I think they were dating for 3 years or something like that. But imagine what happens inside of marriage. It gets worse. Somebody say, oh, why should I get married then? I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't get married if you don't know what you're doing. But anyway, he now said, advertised for you, promoted you everywhere, invest in your business, and I get bare minimum effort from you sexually. We have no kids. You don't cook. So what's the excuse? That's 11 text messages so far with only 3 text messages for her. Finally, she gave one more, a 4th text message. Remember, text messages are a no-no for any emotionally charged conversations, particularly in romantic relationships. They are a no-no. Text messages are for I love you. Like for example, the last text my son said, my son is 6'1". Okay. Like things that, okay, oh yeah, we picked up the food. Oh yeah, can you please grab the pizza by the door? Things like that. That's what text messages are for. Text messages are not to complain about your relationship, about your partner. It's a no. It's a rule of thumb. Write this down, take it to the bank. What if I don't have a way to talk to them? You have to wait. You have to wait, okay? And if you're going to send anything, there are ways to send text messages. Definitely, see, when you send text messages, you give people the right, you give them the freedom, you give them the permission to interpret it 2,000 other ways. Sorry, give it 2,000 other interpretations outside of your intentions. So basically, you are scattering everything. So the human mind is a very powerful thing, right? They will basically assume the worst case scenario with your text messages. And if you haven't seen it yet, try it. You will see it. Anyway, she finally replied with one more text message. She goes, I have no complaints with sex. And you ever. Wait. He's like, I don't complain about sex. The guy is complaining about sex. So, but she's like, I have no complaint about sex. All right, let's continue. She has no complaint about sex ever, she says. Okay. Anyway, that's all she said. And then he continues. He said, I was unhappy. My needs weren't being met. It's not a blame. See, this is unfair to men. Let me just be honest with you, okay? Let me say like this. It feels unfair to men, but it's more so the man doesn't know what he's doing, okay? Let me repeat that. A man, especially a man who doesn't know what he's doing, it will feel unfair to him because he'll be basically competing. He said, hey, if I initiate 2 times, you should initiate 2 times, right? You see, this text message I'm looking at right now is fair because she sent 4 text messages and he sent about 15 thus far. That's fair. That's how it works, okay? But you have to understand what I'm talking about. You don't weight it based off of number of texts. You weight it based off of the impact. You see, she's interpreting everything he's saying, okay? But he's interpreting too, but he's pouring everything about, at the end of the day, in love and war, all is fair. Let me continue here. It said, my needs weren't being met. It's not a blame. I'm not used to getting sex. Now, he said it's not a blame. The question is that, does it change the fact that you feel like a blame to her? Because he said it's not a blame. I'll let you answer that question. I'm used to getting sex. I'm not saying it's your fault. Maybe it's just me and I'm not good for you. What do you think she's going to feel? Well, she's reading it. She's not replying a lot, right? Okay. And then he goes, okay, so I'm not the one for you. You don't feel safe, secure, sexy. To be fair, I don't know if there's been deleted text messages in between this. So I'm just going by what I see in terms of a VDM style receipts, okay? Anyway, I'm used to getting sex my entire life. Now I'm successful, take care of your needs, and jack off. Okay, that's a lot. Okay, so let me see here. Oh, my show. Konji is a bastard. Let me see. But your whole page gets sexy. Brianna, I just give it another name, right? Then I get pissed. You made no efforts to see me, to send me any sexy pictures, nothing. I do everything for you. I get nothing in return. You can keep posting shit online, but no send a single picture to me. Nothing to turn me on, but you feel sexy. Yet I get nothing, but it came from another girl. I would be wrong. Oh, if the sexy pictures came from another girl, he would be wrong. Remember, he cheated. So he's basically apologizing with all of these excuses. Okay, by now we have about 20 to 25 text messages. There's been 4 text messages from her so far. And she finally sent one more, making it 5 text messages. It's crazy how someone can take pieces of truth and twist them to serve a story that lets them feel like the victim. I honestly regret ever letting you that close because the little you do know about me, you've weaponized. You used my resources, my platforms, my knowledge, ran campaigns, got exposed. Oh, wow. That's a lot, right? All right. He continues, say, cook, clean, don't pay back investments, give sex sparingly, and put more time into social media scrolling than taking care of me. These are facts. I did. Okay, all right. So there's some jumping there. He's talking about all the things he did, I understand him. I've been there before. You know how you feel like it's not fair and you want that person to reciprocate. But you can't see that, hey, they're not reciprocating because they're not feeling you. They don't want you, at least not in that moment. So instead of you to back off and allow them to want you, you're scared that maybe if you back off, they won't want you ever again. It's fear. But that fear will make you even do worse. And then this anxiety, you keep sending these text messages, essentially expressing this neediness over and over and over again. It just gets worse. And then he goes, eventually, he said, you're very sexy and the best lover. No, she goes. He goes, I guess she's trying to justify, after all of this, at some point, a lady will get to a point she starts to feel guilty. If she likes you at all, even if sometimes when she doesn't like you, if she's scared of the unknown, the future, she doesn't know where she's going. The grass always seems greener on the other side, right? But she's not sure where she's going, right? And then she gets to the point, she feels a little bit of guilty. She feels like, yes, you have given me your time, but really she doesn't like you, right? But maybe, but not really. Well, that's a woman, right? Oftentimes, she's not sure of herself, especially if you don't know what you're doing and you don't know how to make her feel safe and secure. She's definitely not going to be sure of herself. And she doesn't carry the seeds. So she's going to multiply all the bad balls that you bring to her, but in somewhat of a different way. It's not going to look like a bunch of text messages. She might just run into a corner somewhere and start crying and start getting scared and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, all the trauma I have with sex and you, she's talking to him now, like a 7th text message now. Also, as grown men, I want to have sex and would love to do it with you as the woman I love. I'm not getting that, because that's how I said. My little lace thing I wore in NYC was sexy. Okay. And then he goes, I ain't seen nothing to say sexy, but go off. You don't think I'm sexy? And then he goes, but your whole page gets sexy, Brianna. Then I get pissed. You made no efforts to see me, to send me. Okay, all right. Basically, the whole point of this is complain. And then he continues. He said, take my money, get booked for hotels and flights, but draw line at sex. Basically, they go on trips. They stay in a hotel room and nothing. Crickets. She doesn't want to give it up. Motherfucker get money from me every week, but want to draw line on sex. You know how I was feeling a lot of times. All you say is you love having sex with me, but didn't change anything. Now, for 2 months, I've been telling you that again, and same result. I told you that you weren't intimate with me. By the way, that was 5 different text messages. So we're about 30, 35 now. You weren't intimate with me. You only wanted baby. Only time you approached me for sex was when you were ovulating. Oh, that's so sad. She wanted to have a baby. And then she goes, you are very sexy. And then she's replied. Anyway, in all of this, I'm going to read a couple of replies. All right. Baba, problem na sex. Yes, so. It's real. But let me read some of the replies from the Instagram post directly. Where he posted this as a caption to this post. He said, all the people mad cause I cheated, but no one cares how many times I complained about lack of sex and living long distance. I express myself and go unheard, but then when I take care of my own needs, now I'm worst person ever. Somebody said, now, what are we supposed to do with this information? This isn't making her look bad. It's actually proving her points. All right. Now, to be fair to him, at some point, he traveled unannounced to go and see this lady, and the lady basically called the cops or initiated some kind of a restraining order. There's a lot more going on in that story. I'm not going to get into it. I just want to focus on this sexual attraction of a thing. Is real for a lot of people, and they often don't know what to do. They do the natural thing to do for a lot of people is to overreact. A lot of men, they just overreact off of the kanji. What's the English for kanji? So somebody help me. The blue balls, off of the blue ball. They just naturally overreact from the blue ball, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. And really, all you need to do is just back off for a little while, okay? But the earlier you do that, the better. The later you do it, the more it's not going to work, because again, you would have sown all these seeds of resentment. She would have multiplied it, and she will resent you back 1,000 times more. And especially if you've cheated, then she can't trust you anymore. It just gets worse. All right. And it's even more so true if we're talking about a marriage. Okay. I don't see much difference between dating, marriage, relationship, talking stage. I don't see much different. How the romantic energy, the attraction energy is exactly what it is. It goes ups and down. And the more you don't know what to do, the worse it gets. Anyway, she wasn't your wife. She didn't owe you her body. Somebody said, you should have just left and had all the women you wanted that were willing to lay down with you. I pray you find the closure you're looking for. Only God can bring peace to your life. Anyway, that person is saying that. Somebody else said, how one messages and your paragraphs is giving, she wasn't really interested. She reaped the benefits, what she was doing for her. You basically putting your heart out and she's ignoring what you are saying. Here's what I'm going to say real quick about that before I move on to some other stories. All right, I hope this really helps someone out there, especially my brothers, right? I don't know the full story, to be fair. I don't know the full context. There's more to any story we can read in the form of text messages. And that's the more reason why you shouldn't do text messages. Okay, text messages are basically sugar-coated nonsense, basically used to manipulate other people. Okay, the person that's doing most of the text messages is the one that's manipulative the most. That's the way it works. Okay, so but what I can say about this is that if you notice or you're experiencing low attraction, back off. Take some time off. Okay, and if you're going to offer anything, make sure you study enough to understand what value would mean to that person and offer value. Okay, but you cannot offer value until you study long enough to see what value will mean to that person. The first step to offering value to that person is space. Clearly, that person doesn't want you. I know it sounds harsh, but the reality is that sometimes you go through even inside of marriage and the person doesn't want you, but it's just a momentary thing. Your brain will multiply it beyond control, blow it out of proportion. It will make you feel like nobody ever wants you in this life. They never really wanted you, but if you really think deeper, it is not true. It is just that moment. It is true in that moment. Acknowledge it in that moment, and they need some space. Give them some space. Take some time off. So are you going to come back with value? I don't know, but how are you going to know if you don't take the time off first, right? If you don't take the time off, you're going to create more damages than you can handle. That's as simple as I can keep that for now. If you're experiencing this kind of stuff, some people might say, oh, maybe you should come buy a flower. Calm down. Okay, the biggest sex organ is the brain. Okay, and that's where attraction starts from. Anything else you're going to do to start from that first before you start buying Amazons. Hit the like button, guys. Share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. I'll be right back.
Girl, it's your love that I've been missing. I miss all your hugs, your touching and kissing. Me love on the floor, the couch in the kitchen. One love enough, we done enough.